On a seemingly peaceful full moon night, a war is actually breaking out with countless sharp weapons raised high. Panning down reveals an utterly chaotic scene. Soldiers shout orders in unison, attack, take down that demon. Meanwhile, a pair of legs are sprinting for their life, muscles tense, fleeing from the crowd. The one being pursued is revealed to be a young man with white hair and streaks of blood on his face. One man runs while a whole crowd chaotically gives chase, no one willing to back down. Suddenly, an armored soldier appears out of nowhere, blocking his path. Attack! Receiving the order, the crowd charges forward. But he isn't one to lie down and let them decide his fate. Nuoke also unleashed his power, enveloping them. His agile and flexible body created attacks with a purple power. Then Nuoke raised his hand to gather more energy. Just like that, he touched one hand to the ground, creating a massive shockwave that left them no time to react. The earth and rocks shattered into pieces under that immense power. The armored soldiers, whose bodies were enveloped in purple flames, stood still like statues. Not waiting for them to make a move, Nuoke sent the whole group to meet their maker in one go. The power within him continued to radiate, but at the same time he looked exhausted. 3 pairs of red eyes also appeared above him. However, his current appearance was no different from a vagrant, looking utterly wretched. Nuoke could barely stand, gripping an iron bar to support himself. As he was about to lament why life was full of pain, Nuoke suddenly noticed something. In the dark night shrouded by the chaos of the aftermath, a girl with red hair appeared before Nuoke and questioned him, "Why did you make that decision?" A flash of heartache and disappointment crossed the girl's face. "Why did you make a pact with a demon? Why did you betray us?" Nuoke von Reinhofer. She called his name clearly, just like a teacher calling a student for an oral quiz. Then with a dazed look, he looked up and exclaimed, "Betrayal. Those who are scared can go home." But Nuoke here isn't afraid of offending anyone. He smiled sinisterly and directly admitted, "Yes, you should think that I betrayed you." Then Nuoke asserted that he was the real victim who needed to be vindicated. "However, I didn't do that because you were the ones who betrayed me." Despite this, the red-haired girl wasn't angry at all. Instead, she eagerly asked questions, which made Nuoke feel a bit happy, smirking, just like a CEO looking at a naive little girl. "Stop arguing. Just tell me, since when have you been injured like this?" Nuoke's dazed expression returned as he began to recount. It started. Like a landing text appeared along with the image of a brightly shining blue cherry. A notification board appeared. "You have completed the first part of Inner Lunatic. Total score 27. In a messy room surrounded by trash, a young man sat in front of a lit computer and remarked, "Not bad, not too shabby." The young man looked at it and praised himself. "I've unlocked so many hidden achievements. I'm very satisfied." Suddenly, the image switched to a calendar with the 6th circled Hospital Day. "Except for the fact that I'm going to die next month." The young man's memories began to surface. 2 years ago, here was an X-ray of his brain. The doctor sat there with a serious expression and informed Yuchan, patient, "Yuchan, don't be afraid and listen to me." It's unknown what the doctor said, but looking at his expression, one could guess a part of it. In a large apartment inside a room, Yuchan silently stared at the test results in his hand. A series of inquiries began. "You went to University Hospital 20, right? You've been to 2 hospitals. We've performed many examinations." The more he heard, the more anxious Yuchan became. "And we got the same results. We can prescribe you some painkillers. Use them when the pain is too much." His hand holding the test results slowly loosened. The unsealed bottle of pills fell scattering everywhere. With that same hand, Yuchan looked soulless, devoid of all hope. There was no light in his eyes now. 2 years had passed. Suddenly, something caught Yuchan's attention. It was the piled-up trash bags in the neatly arranged calendar. Hen Yuchan covered his mouth and coughed a few times. His face was in disbelief. What he coughed up was a mouthful of fresh blood. Am I really going to die? Even if he was dying, he had to clean up. Yuchan took a tissue to wipe away the blood stains. I guess the final result wouldn't be much different just because I'm always thinking about it. Just as he felt like he was falling into an abyss, a phone notification popped up. Yu-chan quickly picked it up and unlocked it. Looking at the message inside, he was momentarily speechless. University Hospital 20 confirmation of appointment for Yu-chan. He sighed to himself, I have no one to talk to about this. Yu-chan slumped onto the chair, dazed, and sighed. No one has contacted me since I lost my memory. There's no one I can contact. He clenched the blood-stained paper in his hand. I can't go anywhere in my current state. Suddenly, Yu-chan saw a flyer on the table. The lines on it seemed to mock his current situation. Conference for terminal cancer patients. Have unwavering faith. A church flyer. Would you like to join our almshouse? Yu-chan immediately lost his composure and crumpled the paper in one hand. He frantically rummaged through the discarded papers in despair. His tears fell. Game over. Yu-chan cried, shedding tears of helplessness and sorrow. As he was sinking deep into the abyss, a light suddenly made him stop crying and look up. A notification board appeared out of nowhere. Will you start a new game? Yu-chan's resolute voice with no regrets left rang out. Before the end, this is all I need to do. Without hesitation, Yu-chan clicked on the yes box. Then another notification reminded him, please enter user information. What is the player's name? GL. A tear rolled down with a drop of sweat on his face. Yu-chan still smiled and wondered, this time what character attribute should I become? The screen was still displaying. Yu-chan decided to choose both. Let's see. Mana-sensitive genius. Please choose a character attribute. Sword and martial arts genius. Both mana-sensitive genius and sword and martial arts genius. His gaze suddenly shifted to the notification box. If you choose 2 or more genius attributes, you will be penalized. Please choose 1 or fewer to avoid penalty. Neutral attribute. Negative attribute terminal illness. Seeing that line, Yu-chan fell silent again. He didn't expect this coincidence. I have a terminal illness and my character does too. After finishing, the system asked, will you start the game with the chosen character? Why not? Yu-chan decisively clicked. A second later, his lifeless eyes widened in horror. Yu-chan seemed to be sucked into something. He looked terrified. The shock made Yu-chan lose his bearings, his chair shaking. He trembled and fell hard to the ground, breathing heavily without stopping. Me? Am I dead? At that moment, the system suddenly announced, character creation successful. At the same time, Yu-chan was thinking, I thought death was something I had forgotten about, but at least I want to die fulfilled. Switching to another scene, notification images appeared continuously. Synchronizing 4%, 6%, 19%. Synchronization stopped at 71%. Character setup complete. At this moment, a young man's body was lying peacefully on a bed, breathing rapidly. He suddenly sat bolt upright, his expression a bit confused. Who is this? Where am I? Who is this? Where am I? Looking at the spacious room in front of him, Yu-chan in his new body kept wondering, this place is, I'm enveloped in a feeling of déjà vu. He stepped down and looked around. No way. I recognize this place. He walked to a reflective mirror. Raising his hand, Yu-chan exclaimed, entered this hellish game, discovering that familiar face. Khan, I've possessed the most evil character. I don't know why that text appeared. It started. Yes, it was a landing. The history of this character was gradually recounted. Nuoke von Reinhofer, he is one of the Dark Masters of Inner Lunatic. A family deeply involved with the world's most evil criminal organization, the youngest of the 5 Reinhofer siblings. The Reinhofer family has produced children talented in both magic and swordsmanship throughout the ages. But among all the members there was one useless little boy. Khan, born a fool, accused of a crime, and even signed a contract with a demon from the Forbidden Realm. He became the most evil disaster in the story of Inner Lunatic. Remembering that Yu-chan in Nuoke's body couldn't help but scratch his head. To think I've become Nuoke? This isn't a dream, is it? Just as he was in a dire situation, the system suddenly appeared behind him. Here is all the information about the character you are in. Basic information: name, Nuoke von Reinhofer. Gender male. Age 14. Species: Wami, human. Main element: darkness. Achievements: none. Positive sword, mana sensitivity, memorization. Steel-like spirit, neutral. Negative terminal illness sickness. After reading, Yuchan was so happy he shed tears. There's even a status window. Before he could celebrate, the system continued to introduce stat stamina 2, mana 9, luck 7, willpower 10, magic 25. Yu-chan was quite stunned. Huh, why are my stats like this? Stamina is only 2. And at the top, my negative traits are neutral dark attribute, negative terminal illness, painful sickness, frequently ill cold limbs. What a cruel fate. Yu-chan suddenly realized, don't tell me, this is the character I customized before. I had a time limit in real life, a terminal illness with 1 year left depending on specific characteristics. And I still have a time limit here. Dazed, he wondered. I don't remember exactly why I did that, but thinking back, I had a vague idea. I wanted this character to be like me, a character with no one to rely on who would die. The remaining time is also the same as mine. Of course, I didn't know it would turn into such a disaster. Then the system displayed a notification. You have an unread letter in your mailbox. Do you want to read it? Yu-chan saw it and pressed open without hesitation, although he was still asking an unread letter. In the letter, a message appeared. Hello, Yu-chan. No, I'll call you Nuoke from now on. Just reading the first line sent a chill down Yu-chan's spine. It knows my name. Yu-chan, my old name given by parents I don't even know are still alive. He pondered with countless questions. The one who brought me to this world, could it know something about the past I've forgotten? The message continued. You won't remember me, but I need to tell you this. It's really been a long time. Yu-chan read with a mix of surprise and confusion. What? Each line made him sweat. You've done very well these past 2 years. You have the right to return to this place. Welcome back. Yu-chan was frozen to the spot, unable to understand. Return me. The questioning thoughts echoed in his head. You're telling me I'm no longer in my old world. Nuoke frowned worriedly. And now this place is my reality. He clenched his sweaty fists. This is too absurd. The system continued to display the message, I can't tell you much about my identity yet, but I hope I can help you. Reading that, Nuoke once again fell into deep thought. Help. The mysterious person didn't let him collect himself and continued to give advice. Join the Eledian Academy, then develop your forces and try to follow the main storyline as closely as possible. The whole truth. As soon as it finished, the system turned off, leaving Nuoke confused. Wait, is that all? Will reveal itself naturally. As soon as it finished, the system turned off, leaving Nuoke confused. Wait, is that all? Nuoke held his head in frustration. Well then, I need to sort out my thoughts. Looking at himself in the mirror, Yu-chan in Nuoke's body made a decision. First, I've been reincarnated as the final boss of this game, Inner Lunatic. However, he was still a bit hesitant. But I have to follow the main storyline. No matter how I interpret it, it means I'll still die in the end. Remembering the earlier message, Hey Yu-chan? No, I think I should call you Nuoke now. He had to accept it. Anyway, even if Inner Lunatic truly becomes my reality, Nuoke sweated as he thought, it doesn't mean I'm giving up on regaining my memories. By any means necessary, I will follow the main storyline, and based on my lost memories, I will find out the reason I'm in this world. His eyes showed unprecedented determination. And survive, for that purpose. Nuoke smirked with a hint of menace. After thinking it over, not much has changed from my old life. That memory of Yu-chan resurfaced. 2 years before I lost my memory, I had a terminal illness. Every moment meant taking another step towards death's door, and I spent my whole life living in fear of death. The only thing that has changed is the system. Now Nuoke stood alone and helpless in the vast room of the world he knew best. Then he asked, System, what's today's date? It immediately replied February 4th, 1812. Seeing this, Nuoke sighed. That means I don't have much time left. He seemed to have regained his spirits, his face beaming with a smile. Well then, how about I start my 28th playthrough with enthusiasm? With that, Nuoke strode forward and opened the door. But as soon as he touched the door handle, his hand was stopped by something that flashed red. For a moment he stood frozen in shock. The system board popped up with an explanation. Adverse attribute has been activated due to the effect of persistent illness. You have level 1 wrist inflammation. Please rest and recover fully. This made him curse out loud. What the hell? The clear sky shone sunbeams into the room. Nuoke was cradling his painful hand, walking around the house, thinking to himself, "What the heck is wrong with this body? Am I this fragile?" As he was complaining, a girl in a maid's uniform suddenly bumped into him. Porcelain bowls fell one by one, shattering. The girl appeared with a fragile and pitiful look, surrounded by blue magic flowers. Someone. A second later, she suddenly realized and screamed, startling all the servants. The building seemed about to collapse. Young Master Nuoke. Meanwhile, Nuoke was still in agony from his utterly useless hand. It hurt so much. Then he slowly glanced at the girl and recognized her. This face, brown hair and light orange eyes. Is this Luo Na? Luo Na was very frightened at this moment. She kept bowing earnestly. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me for the sin of causing you injury." He searched his memories. Nuoke recalled, "Because she's just a side character. The only thing I can remember is that she spoke ill of Nuoke behind his back. That's all I remember." Even so, looking at her fragile, puppy-like face, Nuoke couldn't help but doubt. This innocent-looking girl spoke ill of Nuoke, even if he is a villain. Thinking, he smiled a bit insincerely and approached Luo Na. "I'll forgive you this time." Anyway, at this moment, Nuoke looked like a true villain. He spoke reassuring words, but his face was terrifying. "If you make a mistake again..." Before Nuoke could finish his warning, Luo Na was so scared she hastily apologized. "Yes, sir, it won't happen again." The surrounding atmosphere also made him suspicious. It seemed so quiet. Zooming in on the faces of the other 3 servants, they all looked very scared, as if they had just seen a ghost, not daring to utter a word. At this moment, Nuoke remembered, "I forgot I'm a very crazy guy." "Nuoke, really? What kind of life did you live?" As he was mentally chiding, Luo Na spoke up, interrupting his thoughts. "Anyway, young master, where are you going so early?" Nuoke immediately looked at her and replied, "The training room." As soon as the words were out, everyone's jaws dropped frozen solid. Before the statues could recover, Nuoke uttered something even more shocking. "Oh, and Luo Na, come with me." These words made Luo Na feel like the world was ending. "Don't tell me. He's planning to beat me." The sky was still clear with sunlight shining down on the magnificent castle. Nuoke was heading to the training room with Luo Na, who looked at him timidly. Nuoka didn't pay any attention to Luo Na and continued walking with his thoughts. "First of all, I need to survive." Remembering his real-life situation made him more determined. After experiencing death, I'm sure of it now. Back then, tears streamed from his lifeless eyes. "I don't want to die." Returning to the present, Nuoke looked outside while thinking, in order to survive, I need to adapt to the new circumstances as quickly as possible. Then, Nuoke questioned himself out loud, "That doesn't mean I can't change?" His vague words made the accompanying Luo Na completely confused, with a giant question mark over her head. Ignoring everything, Nuoke was lost in thought again. As someone who has played this game 27 times, I know most of the hidden aspects of this game. Nuoke uttered 2 words, status window. Inner lunatic. With its plot of a clash between angels and demons spanning the Empire, is a game with many fans around the world. The special thing about Inner Lunatic is the ability to customize characters, allowing players to have many different playstyles. While lower-ranked attributes like normal or talented can be assigned multiple times, in most cases, the genius attribute can only be assigned once. Using a genius attribute, one can reach the peak much faster. Regardless, I possess both of them. In this game, there's a concept called attribute penalty. When assigning an attribute beyond one's limit, mana-sensitive genius, please choose a genius attribute for swordsmanship and combat. Neutral attribute, Adverse attribute terminal illness. By exploiting the system to make it work for you, you are perfectly capable of assigning two genius attributes. Swordsmanship and combat genius provides you with swordsmanship skills. It allows the player to reach the pinnacle of swordsmanship. On the other hand, mana-sensitive genius. Your sensitive affinity for magic allows you to cast spells effectively. Thinking about that Nuo-Kei felt a triumphant thrill. Those things have a lot of benefits. The main character has a skill called Mind's Eye, which allows you to see other players' status windows. And Master Actor allows you to feign any expression in any situation. It seems very useful in my circumstances. Steel-like spirit can be used during combat, allowing the player to maintain a resolute spirit and a cold demeanor. There's just one problem. It's the adverse attribute. Terminal illness will be the worst thing, but adverse terminal illness, curse of sickness, persistent illness, cold limbs, demonic possession. His face was covered in sweat, but he still forced a smile. I look like a walking hospital, don't I? For someone with cold limbs, and unless they have a warming skill, setting foot in a cold area is almost impossible. And with persistent illness, I will faint at least once per chapter. He kept scratching his head, looking like a fresh escapee from an asylum, making the accompanying Luo Na constantly glance over. Well, I guess I have no other choice. Let's take it one step at a time. Soon enough, Nuo-Kei was in front of the training room. Luo Na on the side couldn't help but doubt. We're right in front of the training room. Does he really want to go in? Suddenly, something turned her doubt into surprise. It was Nuo-Kei's serious and determined face. He was staring intently ahead. Without further hesitation, Nuo-Kei pushed the door wide open and entered, thinking, first of all, curse of sickness. The player has been afflicted with the curse of sickness from birth, and growth rate has been halved, and resistance to adverse effects from enemies will be reduced by half. I must get rid of the curse of sickness first. The wooden sword was slowly raised, Nuo-Kei's hand drenched in sweat. No matter how long, I think I can only conclude one thing. Holding it looked impressive, but his posture was like a flailing fish on a cutting board. Nuo-Kei's face turned pale. He was out of breath. I'm done for. Like it's still the novel's introduction. Then the wooden sword in his hand fell spinning once. Nuo-Kei collapsed exhausted onto the floor. Instead of lying around eating sunflower seeds and watching Netflix, Nuo-Kei was now petrified, realizing a harsh truth. After careful consideration, that's what I've concluded. A person who can't even swing a sword 10 times? I didn't think the debuffing curse would be so debilitating. The training room was very spacious. Nuo-Kei sat up and observed, unable to help but admire, as expected, so many good weapons. Another introduction was told. It's due to the foundation of the Reinhafer family originating from the sword. When it comes to the Reinhafer family, there are many praises for them. The most famous title is probably the Noble Family of the Blade and Shadow. The reason they are called that is because of the technique of infusing dark magic into the blade to deal with their enemies. It's all thanks to the commander's blade, known as the Tyrant's Blade of Darkness. It is passed down to the heads of the family, and that process continues through the generations. Thinking about that, Nuo-Kei suddenly realized he was overthinking. What does that have to do with me? Besides swordsmanship, there are many benefits to being part of a noble family. Then he just sat there admiring the rare items for getting his training mission. Most importantly, is money. Money. No one doesn't love money. Nuo-Kei was the same. Even on the verge of death, he would sell himself to capitalism. Money is everything. Thinking of gold coins raining down from the sky, Nuo-Kei couldn't stop imagining. The Reinhafer family is one of the largest noble families in the story. Of course, they are extremely wealthy. Nuo-Kei still sat there, eyes gazing at the blue sky. So much so that their useless son has enough money to pay for not having to do anything his entire life. He thought of the father of the body he was in. It's likely because Nuo-Kei's father, Tai Ao, doesn't really care whether Nuo-Kei spends his money wisely or not. From the beginning, Nuo-Kei wasn't that type of character, the youngest son of a noble family. After thinking for a while, Nuo-Kei slowly stood up. Anyway, his archetype is very clear. I'll definitely use all the money I have. He had just stood up and his legs were already shaking uncontrollably. Nuoke felt 30% helpless and 70% pathetic when he remembered Luo Na. Until Luo Na brings back the items I requested, I can't even run. Flashing back a few minutes when Luo Na was still here with Nuoke, she pushed a table with a towel and water towards him. Luo Na respectfully said, "Wooden sword towel and warm water are here, master." At this time, she still couldn't believe a useless guy like Nuoke wanted to do something and was skeptical. Is he really going to train? Suddenly, Nuoke's words made Luo Na freeze awkwardly. "There's no one else around, right? Come here, Luo Na." Holy cow. One sentence led to several scenes flashing in her mind. Luo Na momentarily fell into an abyss, screaming internally, "Why are you planning to hit me?" Being a good person trying to stay calm and suddenly being labeled a wife-beater made Nuoke furious. "What are you talking about?" Then he pulled Luona's ear closer. "Lend me your ear." One person spoke. One person listened dazedly, not knowing if she understood anything. "Huh, yes." Then Luo Na screamed, revealing the national secret and wasting his effort to whisper. "What you want to use all that money?" Luo Na frantically questioned him. "The ideas you told me are all nonsense." Before she could finish, Nuoke immediately shut Luo Na up, making her instantly obedient like a puppy. "Shut up and go find those things." "Yes, sir." "Don't raise your voice at me." Luo Na, with a terrified chill down her spine, lamented internally. He's changed. A while later, back in the empty training room, the wooden sword still lay on the floor. Now Nuoke was walking around examining the weapons. "I don't know how fast Luo Na is, but I need those things here by tomorrow." Thinking, he poured himself a glass of water. Nuoke lifted the cup to drink but kept thinking, "The tea Luo Na brought, I still have to break this curse and my weak condition. I never thought the curse would be this bad." Before he could even chill, Nuoke was startled by an uninvited guest. "Hello, Master Nuoke." The person who made him jump was the head butler, Luo de Wei-er. His character history was introduced again. As the asset manager of the Reinhafer family, he is not someone I can easily deal with. Advisor to Nuoke's father, the head of the family, Tai Ao von Reinhofer. That is Luo de Wei-er. Thinking of this, his hand holding the cup began to tremble violently. Nuoke's face was more serious and worried than ever. "This is the challenge I need to face." Nuoke put down the cup while speculating, "He almost never pays attention to me." Did he notice? Just as the bottom of the cup touched the table, Nuoke came up with an idea. "I have a way to handle this." Something strange. He immediately activated the master actor skill. "What are you doing here when you should be serving me?" Mr. Lo de Weyer got straight to the point. "After being entrusted by the master, I've come to inform you of a few things." "What is it?" His expression was stern as he instructed, "Yes, you have been requested to attend dinner tonight." This made Nuoke tremble with anger. He forced a smile and cursed internally. "I don't even understand this family well yet. Are you kidding me? And my father wants me to have dinner with him." Then, under the butler's gaze, Nuoke flatly refused. "Tell my father I can't make it tonight." Lo de Weyer sighed helplessly, thinking, "I wonder why the master requested the young master to join dinner tonight." Then he clarified the matter. "The daughter of the Streliner family has come to visit. It seems she is here to be trained as a knight. If you do not participate, master," he anxiously warned, "I'm afraid the master will be angry." Hearing that, Nuoke could only reluctantly agree. "I understand." His words also surprised Luo de Wei-er, who showed clear suspicion. Being a straightforward person, he didn't hold back and immediately asked, "Master, you're a bit strange today." Yu-chan in Nuoke's body couldn't help but feel flustered. "What do you mean?" Without asking further, Luo de Wei-er stated what was on his mind. "You've never held a sword before. I noticed that you came to train in the training room by yourself." He still didn't understand why. "May I ask the reason why?" Nuoke answered seriously. "Allow me to clarify this." Perhaps due to his divine acting skills, Nuoke warned him in a tone that couldn't be more like Nuoke. "Don't go too far with your master as a butler." A dark glint flashed in his eyes. "Whatever I do for whatever purpose is none of your business. I am the one who decides that." After hearing that the butler Luo de Wei was momentarily speechless, unable to respond. Then he bowed his head earnestly. Please forgive me, master. Ignoring him, Nuoke walked straight in another direction without looking back. But the butler Luo de Weir's suspicion remained. He has changed somehow. I need to report this to the master. The sky was as clear as usual, but Nuoke's hands were so hot they were sweating like rain. He had just acted cold and tough, but now he was terrified and panting. That was so tense, I didn't think this situation would happen. But then Nuoke sighed. I wonder what would happen if I had a slight slip-up. He wouldn't follow me, would he forget it? Remembering that the butler, Lode Wei had mentioned the name of the Streliner family's daughter made him a bit curious. It was a girl with a pleasant face and red hair. What is she doing here? In a flash, night had fallen. Stars and the moon covered the sky above the brightly lit castle. Inside, other noble children at the dining table were endlessly mocking him. Hey, look, the idiot really came. I probably can't stomach this meal now. But it was okay because Nuoke was a chill guy. He sat still, even closing his eyes as if he was enjoying it. The twins Han-si and A-Loon sitting opposite him continued their verbal jabs. Don't tell me you're still not used to gatherings like this. Seems like that's really the case. I never thought you'd dare to show your face here. Unbelievable. Then, seeing he said nothing, the two became even more outrageous. Did you hear he has a thing for the maid? I know. He's a hopeless case. Nuoka was speechless with these brats, thinking, I haven't even done anything wrong. In the not-so-cheerful atmosphere, the door opened again to welcome a new guest. It seems everyone is here. Hearing that familiar voice, Nuoke instinctively turned his head with a stern expression. It was none other than the father of the character Yu Chan was in Tai Ao von Reinhofer. There was another person who caught his attention. The head of the family, Nuoke's father, and a red-haired figure gradually came into view. Hello? It was Ta Liya. She was more radiant than ever, smiling as she introduced herself. I am Ta Liya von Streliner. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Mr. Tai Ao and Ta Liya, standing together, looked just like a giant titan and a short girl. He directly added to the introduction. The daughter of Streliner has requested to be trained as a knight, and she will be with us for a while. The twin brothers' eyes lit up, seeing the beautiful girl. Knight training. Nuoke also stood opposite Ta Liya. Mr. Tai Ao was still instructing his vengeful children, treat her like family. Ta Liya still smiled, looking forward. Nuoke, on the contrary, looked quite worried and dejected, thinking, the hero of Inner Lunatic, and the one who will oppose the future villain, Nuoke. She's the one who will plunge a sword into my chest later. Night still covered the sky with only the castle lit up. Mr. Tai Ao solemnly declared, Nuoke, I have summoned you here today for a matter. Nuoke's expression immediately darkened visibly. Ta Liya next to him was bewildered, not understanding what was happening. A voice cut in, now that everyone's here, let's have our meal. The table was filled with expensive and luxurious dishes. Nuoke was about to eat a piece of cake when he noticed the mocking gazes of the twin brothers. After a while, A-Loon turned to Mr. Tai Ao. Father, I think it's time for you to make a decision about who will get to join the Eledian Academy and become a new talent of the family. Hearing that Nuoke was momentarily speechless, only falling into surprise. At this, Tai Ao seemed hesitant, then answered seriously, I know, of course. The time has finally come. An introductory image of Eledian Academy, the most crucial place inside Lunatic. Because inside Lunatic, there's a rumor that students must fight demons through various trials in the academy. Back to Nuoke, he looked heavy-hearted, thinking, the one who gets admitted must be me. Thinking about the students of that school, Nuoke accepted in his mind, as long as it doesn't affect the game's storyline, I need to find allies for myself. Mr. Tai Ao's voice once again cut through his thoughts. Although everyone knows only 3 members from each family are allowed to join the academy, the reason is to protect the academy from the power of the nobles. I have already reserved 2 admission tickets for your 2 older brothers, so there is only 1 ticket left. Suddenly Nuoke froze, was stunned, the images of his two older brothers flashing in his mind. Then he gave a forced smile towards Mr. Taiao and made a silent decision. Before finding my allies, getting that ticket is the best thing for me right now. Tian Han and Tai Ao, father and son, faced each other. The father looked straight at him and said, "I will choose the remaining person to join the academy." Although he didn't say the name directly, Tian Han understood his father's intention. "So, you mean you'll choose by having us brothers compete against each other, right?" As soon as the words were out, Tai Ao was momentarily surprised and thought to himself, "I didn't expect Tian Han to speak up like this." But then he confirmed, "That's right, I will choose the sparring day next month. I will decide who gets chosen after witnessing your performance in the training grounds." As for the twin brothers, they continued to mock and jeer at Tian Han. "Brother, if you want to give up, just admit it now. A weakling like you who has never held a sword stands no chance against us." Under Talia's curious gaze, Tian Han struggled to stammer out two words, that. Then he took a leisurely sip of red wine and retorted, "Isn't that something you should say only after you've won?" As if hit a sore spot, Alun became visibly angry. "You think you can beat us?" Ignoring his shouts, Tian Han just calmly and silently calculated. "This duel will be my chance to get into the academy. I don't need to bother with their ridiculous prejudices." Thinking, he looked at the glass of red wine and uttered a single word, "Ah." Tian Han's face showed a bright confidence he had never shown before. "I will be the only one chosen for the Eledian Academy." Mr. Tai Ao was still sitting there witnessing his actions and words with some surprise. As for the twin brothers, they were now trembling with anger from Tian Han's provocation. There was one more person here, Talia. She let out a small, amused smile. "Well, well." Her eyes were fixed on him in admiration. "The youngest son of the Reinhafer family is really confident, isn't he?" Seeing this, Tian Han appeared calm and cold on the outside, but deep down he was terrified, sweat pouring down his face like rain. Under the starry night sky, a helpless thought echoed in Tian Han's mind. "I think I've attracted the attention of someone I shouldn't have." A while later, in a room where the lights were still on, inside a stack of papers with some information was laid out on the table. Mr. Tai Ao and the butler, Luo De Weyer, were discussing something. Mr. Tai Ao received the stack of papers and spoke. "Based on your report, it's clear his behavior has changed abruptly." The butler, Luo De Weyer, respectfully acknowledged, "Yes, sir." Tai Ao was momentarily confused. "I can't believe he's changed when I haven't seen it with my own eyes. How did the kid change his personality like that?" But he seemed to be overthinking when the image of a demon god of death came to mind. "It's not like he's been possessed by a demon, is it?" Anyway, he felt quite curious. Then Tai Ao ended the conversation for the day. "All right, Luo De Weyer." In a flash, it was the next day with light just beginning to peek through. In the garden, a voice reminded, "Keep focusing, Tian Han." In the thousands of square meter yard, there was a constant buzz of gossip. "Look at him." It turned out Tian Han was the cause of everyone's surprise. He was running so hard he was drenched in sweat. "The young master is training again." The maid, seemingly seeing Tian Han so determined for the first time, kept whispering among themselves, "Good heavens. I heard there's a competition next month." A competition, but why? Then they looked at Tian Han, who was already out of breath just from running around the yard. He's just running around like that. However, they didn't know that Tian Han had heard everything they said. "How can I hear them whispering so clearly? I don't remember having any passive skill like that." But he didn't pay it much mind. Tian Han immediately returned to his determined training state. But after running for a while, the system displayed a notification that disappointed Tian Han. Stamina increased by 0.1. Only 0.1. Even so, Tian Han had to accept it. "Why am I running around the yard like this?" "It's because my biggest weakness is stamina. The condition to activate swordsmanship genius is to reach level 4 in physical fitness." Then he remembered Tian Han's admirable stamina, and his pride was so hurt he almost cried. "Unless my stamina becomes like Tian Han's, it will be activated immediately. That is the swordsmanship genius skill. God-given senses, perceptive eyes, memory-like ears, steel nerves, master actor. But I'm suffering from the fatigue of the curse. At this point, he had no energy left to run. Even standing and breathing seemed difficult. Yet Tianhan didn't give up smirking and silently encouraging himself. I need to increase my stamina by another 1.9 in 1 month. Debilitating curse, a curse that halves your stamina. I'm almost exhausted running for my life like this, but as you can see, I've only increased it by zero point 0.1. Looking at the system panel, Tianhan sighed helplessly. My terminal illness passive has also halved my stamina. As a result, I have to train 4 times harder than others. No matter how hard I try stamina, 15 mana, 30. With the terminal illness passive, my stamina points are only 15. I'll deal with this later. As he was despairing in his thoughts, a cart of items was suddenly pushed out. It was the maid Luo Na. Pushing the cart, she respectfully said, "Young master, I have bought the items you requested yesterday." Seeing that his gloomy expression vanished, replaced by a radiant smile as he silently praised her, "She's more resourceful than I thought. At least she's useful now." The items were in order: three-headed serpent's venom, fairy spring water golem's core, and physical growth scroll. But what still troubled him was how to reach stamina level 4. I won't let any problems happen, of course. While thinking, Tianhan picked up the fairy spring water and held it high. A pro using his past experiences can do it. The scene shifted to the training room. Luo Na's voice rang out. "Why do you need this?" She seemed quite worried and confused, stammering, All of those items are very difficult to use, or remedies that people usually avoid using. They're also very expensive. Isn't it just that scroll that's useful to you?" Tianhan just replied with a cold, expressionless face. "People avoid using them because they don't know how." Luo Na asked confusedly, "How to use them?" He remained silent, not answering her, just staring intently at the items. After a while, Tianhan reached out and took the vial of three-headed serpent's venom. Without any hesitation, he downed the whole thing in one go, even though its name sounded quite dangerous. Luona on the side only reacted after Tianhan had finished drinking. Her face turned pale with panic. "Young master, that venom." Only a few seconds had passed, but the venom seemed to take effect quickly, making Tianhan wince in pain, his face pale. "It really is venom." But his gaze suddenly shifted somewhere else. It turned out to be the system panel displaying a notification: "You are using three-headed serpent's venom. Stamina temporarily increased by 1.5. A short timer also started counting down from 9 minutes and 59 seconds. Tianhan's body lost its sense of direction, but he managed to stand by, grabbing onto the wall. Seeing he wasn't well, Luo Na anxiously shouted, "I'll call the butler." But his hand quickly stopped her. Wait, he had just drunk the venom and looked like he was about to faint, but Tianhan was still fearless. He directly picked up the golem's core and took a big bite with a reluctant expression. "This is tasty too." This scene made the already panicked Luo Na even more so. Her head was spinning. "Don't just eat the core like that." The system on his side continued to notify, "You have eaten the golem's core. You will gradually enter a petrified state. The mysterious piece has been revealed. Three-headed serpent's venom is reacting with the golem's core." At the same time, Tianhan was secretly satisfied. Good, the mysterious piece has worked. Tianhan now looked like a CEO with a terminal illness, looking utterly lifeless but stubbornly refusing to give up. I must continue. A brief introduction. Originally, the golem's core can temporarily amplify the user's defense. This is an item used to create combat golems. But when combined with the three-headed serpent's venom, a special effect is being activated. The venom is being diluted. The debilitating curse has been removed. Remembering that, Tianhan immediately regained his spirits. That's right, the debilitating curse has been removed. As for Luo Na, she still didn't know what was happening and thought Tianhan was about to die, a premature death, crying her eyes out. "Young master, you're gonna die." Luo Na kept asking if he was okay, but Tianhan didn't care, lost in his own thoughts. But there are still many hidden things to discover. Suddenly, Luo Na's worried and scared expression turned into an embarrassed one, her eyes wide. It turned out that Tianhan's sweaty, disheveled appearance, along with his action of seemingly wanting to unbutton his shirt, had made Luo Na momentarily flustered, shouting, "Young master!" Tianhan's dazed eyes didn't seem to hear Luo Na's loud call, "Master." But Tianhan's hand reached out only to grab the vial of fairy spring water, despite Luo Na's misunderstanding. He poured it directly onto his handsome face, and at the same time the system announced, "You have used fairy spring water. The petrification effect of the golem's core has disappeared. The fairy spring water is reacting with the golem's core." After doing so, Tianhan smiled faintly and thought to himself, "What a strange feeling." Then a hidden piece was activated. The user will temporarily gain the Blessing of Growth trait. Looking at the system panel, Tianhan couldn't help but be happy, just as planned. The panel displayed the content. Positive trait, Blessing of Growth. Until the stamina stat reaches 5, the user's growth rate will be doubled. Then with only the scroll left, Tianhan quickly reached for it. One last one. He tore it in half, his face relaxing. "You have used the quick stamina growth scroll. Your stamina growth rate will be doubled." Then, Tianhan rubbed his chin, thinking, "I've broken the curse, and since the blessing of growth is mitigating the debuffs of the terminal illness trait, and I've used the scroll, my growth rate will be double that of a normal person." Thinking of that, he gained more motivation and determination. "So that means I can increase my stamina stat faster." As he was calculating, Luo Na, who had been standing by, worriedly suddenly lunged at him. She burst into panicked sobs. "Young master, are you okay?" Luo Na was flustered when she saw he was fine. "You suddenly took off your clothes? I thought something was wrong with your head or something." Tianhan, 30% helpless and 70% annoyed, showed his displeasure. "Idiot, bring me a towel quick." Hearing him curse, Luo Na relaxed, but was also a bit dazed. Although he said that, Tianhan also felt a bit guilty. "Since the curse has been lifted, maybe I should treat her a bit better." Then he gave a forced smile to reassure her, "Of course I'm fine." But Luo Na was still anxious. "Are you sure you're okay if I don't call the head butler? Shouldn't you be resting now?" Tianhan smiled gently and replied, "It's fine." Luo Na wondered again. "Then what are you going to do?" Tianhan looked at Luo Na with determination and uttered a single word, "Run." The sunlight from the blue sky shone down on the spacious garden. Now Tianhan had resumed his training by jogging. But this time Luo Na was also running behind him. Someone was watching the two of them jogging from outside the door. It seemed to be a girl. She clasped her hands and watched, sighing, My. It turned out to be Talia. She pouted and frowned, not understanding Tianhan. Why would someone as weak as him accept a duel with his two brothers? Accompanying her was the maid Ima. Ima helplessly reminded Talia, "Miss, you shouldn't stare at the young master of the Rheinhafer house like that." The maid sternly corrected her, "It's rude." However, Talia, like a playful and petulant young girl, replied, "No, it's fine." Talia, seeming resentful, voiced her thoughts. "He's not even using a sword anymore. All he's doing is jogging." And even though the other knights of Rheinhafer, 2 knights stood before Tianhan, but he paid them no mind. "Young master," Talia continued to gossip, "they offered to teach him, but he refused everything." Dislike was clearly written on her face as she frowned and asserted, "Within a month he'll be beaten to a pulp, and that will be the end of this matter." Though she said that, Talia was worried inside. "I'm sure it will turn out like that, so why am I even bothering? I can't stand it." Ima, still standing there, saw her unusual expression and called out in alarm, "Miss," before the maid could even advise her. Talia had already stood up, bolt upright, striding forward, not forgetting to instruct, "Ima, I'll be right back." Back at the Rheinhafer estate, the sun was still shining brightly. In the garden appeared the figure of a young lady, and it must be our rebellious Talia. She stood in front of Tianhan. Behind him was Luo Na, out of breath from running after him. Then she smiled brightly and introduced herself in a friendly manner. "I am Talia." Tianhan said nothing, momentarily dazed, but inside his mind was racing in panic. "Why is she looking for me?" Then Tianhan slowly stood up. "What do you want? I think I've heard your name before." Seeing his action and words, Talia was in disbelief. "What? What's with that cold attitude? She became narcissistic about her own beauty and imagined things, then felt shy. He must be too stunned by my beauty. In reality, Tianhan was like a deer in headlights, having no idea what Talia was thinking while she was still lost in her fantasy. That's right, it must be. Thinking. Talia's cheeks flushed red as she mustered all her courage to ask what she was wondering. I want to ask, are you sure you can beat your two brothers? Is that why you agreed? After hearing that, Tian Han once again didn't answer, standing still as a statue. Ignoring his silence, Talia continued to talk to herself. By running around like that, you think you have a chance. Luo Na on the side heard someone voicing thoughts similar to her own and silently approved. I agree. But Talia seemed to have a serious case of narcissism. She confidently puffed out her chest and offered him special treatment. If you ask, I'll be willing to help you. Yet Tianhan directly threw a bucket of cold water on Talia. He decisively turned and walked away. No, I refuse. I'm not interested. So you should leave, okay? Feeling disrespected, Talia was instantly provoked and shouted, How dare you? Is this how you behave when I offer to help? Luona beside them was no less panicked. Her face pale with fear, she forced a smile. Young master girls don't like it when you talk like that. But Talia's ego was also very high. She directly gave him no chance, forget it. Talia turned and left in a huff, not bothering to bump into him. Then just do it your way. Truly an oblivious person. Even though Tianhan had made the girl tremble with anger, he didn't understand why. What? Luona beside him, 30% helpless and 70% pathetic, said, You don't understand anything, sir. Only then did Tianhan frown with a bit of worry. This is getting complicated. Then, Tianhan used Mind's Eye on Talia. The system immediately displayed a notification. Name Talia von Stralener, gender female, age 14, species human, main element, fire. Achievements, stars. Stamina, 6 mana. 3 luck. 5 willpower. 7. Traits. Positive, heroic, admired. Knightly. Straightforward genius in swordsmanship and close combat. Neutral. Negative. Inferiority complex. Unstable state superiority complex. After reading, even though Tianhan didn't want to, he had to accept it. No matter how you look at it, those talents are truly top tier. Looking at her stats, he sighed again. Among the same group, most men have a stamina stat of 4. Her stamina stat is amazing. Tianhan rubbed his chin and gazed at the distant sky, thinking about something. He was still wary of Talia's potential, even though it was nothing compared to the 3 sword saints of the continent, or the potential of one of the 4 great archmages. At least she has the potential to reach their level. The more he thought, the more he sweated. She could kill a few demons with that fire attribute. The fire attribute Talia uses will awaken into white flame, and it's used to incinerate the demonized Tianhan in the future. If I can make Talia my ally, the plot will change too much. I need to find a way to stick to the plot without meeting my demise. Thinking of that, Tianhan sighed helplessly again. From the beginning, is it even possible to have a good relationship with the person who will kill me in the future? Time flew by. A month later in the castle with bright sunlight shining in. Talia was striding inside her eyes, looking in one direction. Her face looked a bit tired and sorrowful. Not long ago, Talia was training with a crowd surrounding her praising, Amazing you learned so fast. As expected from the talent of the Strelener house. Those words were like a compliment, but to her they seemed a bit heavy. The talent of the Strelener house. As she was feeling down, something suddenly caught Talia's attention. Remembering the past, she had to kneel before a girl with short hair who had the exact same face as her. Sister. Talia stood up directionless, her hand tightly gripping the sword at her hip. Her eyes became lifeless and empty. Me. I don't know if I can become a knight. A knight must not be blinded by greed, always be humble while sacrificing oneself for a noble cause. Above all, they need to learn the form and ways of the sword to become a true knight. Talia sighed helplessly. Can he beat his brothers who have trained for so many years by just doing those cardio exercises? Under the starry night sky, Talia's 3 words, "I don't believe," were firmly set in her mind. A moment later, it was the next day with light still peeking through. Inside the room, streaks of sunlight shone through the window bars. In the center were Tianhan and one of the twins facing each other ready for a duel. Not only were there servants and knights, but also Ta Li Ya the butler and Mr. and Mrs. Tai Ao watching from above. Tai Ao's first wife watched the duel with a serious expression. Suddenly, Mr. Tai Ao called the butler Luo De Wei heir. At this moment, a murderous aura emanated from him. What do you think the outcome of this duel will be? Luo De Wei was hesitant and uncertain, only able to stammer, "I." Luckily, the referee below made an announcement saving him. "Attention, please." Both had taken their wooden swords and assumed a ready stance. The official duel to decide who has the right to enter the Eledian Academy. As the camera zoomed in on Tianhan's determined face, the referee shouted, "May now begin." As soon as the word was out before Tianhan could make a move, Alun seized the opportunity, leaped up, and swung his sword. The scene shifted back up to Mr. Tai Ao, who, not letting the butler off the hook, questioned him again. "Luo De Wei what do you see?" The butler this time didn't hesitate and immediately answered, "If things go as they usually do, young Master Alun should win." After hearing this, Tai Ao also agreed, "Right, I think so too." Only Mrs. Tai Ao beside him had a slightly uneasy and serious expression. Remembering back then, first about the results. In the end, I couldn't raise my stamina to 4. Attribute A is in effect. Stamina increased by 0.1. Stamina increased by 0.1. Back then when he was training by jogging, my stamina reached 3.8, right? Luo Na's footsteps were still behind him. "Young master." She was forced to run until she was crying from exhaustion. "Do I really have to run with you, sir?" Even so, Tianhan showed no pity and bluntly replied, "Of course. As my maid if you don't run with me." "Ach. What else would you do?" "No, that's not what I mean. I mean, who will serve me?" Luo Na was utterly helpless. "It seems your intentions are being exposed, sir." Seeing that he smiled, handed her the towel he just used to wipe his sweat and spared her this time. "All right, I'll give you another task." Luo De Wei sweated, not very sure of his own speculation. Was young Master Tianhan born with that kind of talent? "Are you cursing me under your breath?" As if hit a sore spot, Luo Na immediately sneezed repeatedly while her mouth denied it nonstop. "I'm not, I bit my tongue." Seeing her foolish look, Tianhan couldn't help but laugh out loud. But then he suddenly thought of something. At this rate, her stamina must be pretty high too, right? Should I use Mind's Eye to check? Immediately, her information panel appeared. Stamina 4.5 mana, 3 luck, 4 control, 2 charm 16. Looking at the stamina box, which was higher than a lot of people's, Tianhan was extremely surprised. What the heck? 4.5. A maid is stronger than a normal man. What did the Reinhafer family make her do to be like this? Embarrassed and angry, Tianhan felt a bit resentful for not even being a match for a maid. Luo Na, another person with higher starting stats than me? Stats I haven't even reached after a month of hard training. It's so unfair. At this moment, Luo Na, standing behind, saw him lost in thought and called out, "Hey, it's late now. The competition is tomorrow." "You should go rest, sir." After hearing that, Tianhan suddenly realized the competition day was just around the corner. Damn it, there's no time left. Back to reality, Tianhan faced Alun. He called out, "Tianhan." He arrogantly thought of him as a nobody and mocked, "Or maybe you should just withdraw." Alun put on a confident, triumphant face. "Although you're the stain of the family, you're still my brother. I shouldn't hit you too hard, right? Isn't that so?" But Tianhan was not to be outdone and immediately retorted, "Judging by your expression, you don't really want me to withdraw, do you?" But Alun was still cheerful and not angry. He looked upwards and said, "I've been found out. Actually, I want to leave a good impression on the young lady of the Streliner family. You see, I believe you will help me." Tianhan sweated, uncertain. I guess so. I don't know if this is a good idea. Looking at the arrogant Alun Tien Han was lost in his own thoughts again. Alun's stamina is at level 8. There's no way I can win with conventional methods. As he was thinking, the referee suddenly interrupted, with admission to the Eledian Academy as the prize the sword duel will now begin. Tianhan von Reinhofer and Alun von Reinhofer both must accept the outcome of the duel and must not question the result. The duel was about to begin. Tianhan still didn't believe in himself, feeling extremely anxious. I'm so worried. If I lose here, everything will be over. From regaining my memories to finding the person who sent me the letter. And although it's been postponed for a year, my life will still come to an end. Thinking of that, Tian Han resolutely tightened his grip on the sword in his hand. At the same time, the referee was asking, "Is everyone ready? Then begin." A shout rang out, and at the same moment the arrogant A. Lun quickly rushed towards Tian Han, intending to win with a single blow. The sword was swung down, but Tian Han nimbly dodged it. His leg was knocked far away, creating a strong force. Tian Han was momentarily put on the defensive, unable to do anything. He braced himself against the strong force and was pushed back a long way. Tian Han's eyes showed determination. Alun, seeing this, arrogantly praised, "Nice block." The battle continued as the two clashed. Tian Han fought while thinking, "The truth about this damn game called inner lunatic." He was struggling. It means I'll have to give up everything if I lose. But if I can win, then, as he was thinking that, the system suddenly notified stamina increased by 0.1. Seeing this, Tian Han's eyes widened in utter surprise. Then he regained his motivation, smiled, and said, "If I can win, I feel like everything will be under my control." Seeing this, A. Lun frowned disgustedly and uttered words of contempt. "Are you crazy, Tian Han?" At the same time, the time reversal skill was activated. Mr. Tai Ao's gaze, which was about to leave, suddenly turned to utter surprise. Tian Han stood still as the gears of time were turning. Everyone was affected by it. Mr. Tai Ao, who was about to leave, couldn't even stand up. I've heard this phrase somewhere before. A loon about to attack was momentarily frozen, unable to move. Tian Han smiled in satisfaction, regaining his usual confidence. Geniuses and commoners live their lives in different moments. This is time reversal. Everything seemed to move slower, a skill that made the perception of time slow down several times. The opponent being slowed down is completely different from me moving faster, though it's quite difficult to fully utilize the potential of this skill. As long as the swordsmanship and martial arts genius attribute is activated, a loon's sword still couldn't be swung. Everything was decided. Tian Han took this opportunity to knock his sword away with one hand and regain the initiative. A loon, having just escaped the time reversal, was momentarily surprised and a bit wary of him. At this moment, Tian Han, both determined and confident, asserted, "I will be the victor." A loon's sword fell onto the arena floor with a continuous clanging sound. His hand was also affected and trembled. This made a loon furious, glaring at Tian Han with a look that could kill. On his side, Tian Han's hand was still tightly gripping his sword, ready to swing. His face showed clear confidence. "This will be fun." Alun, a bit scared, stammered, What are you—" He didn't answer, only dodged, and thought, "Even so, I shouldn't lower my guard." Then he thought of the image of time reversal again. The skill only has a duration of 5 minutes. I'll have to end this within that time. Tian Han spoke seriously. "I've been easy on you. That is, until now." He kept boasting to push A. Loon into a defensive position, "But now I no longer feel interested enough to do that, brother." Then Tian Han concluded with a triumphant smile on his lips, "Let's end this quickly. Both of you please come up at the same time." As soon as the words were out, both A. Loon and Han Si were stunned, their jaws dropping. "What?" Ignoring his two brothers, Tian Han turned to Mr. Tai Ao for permission. "Father, please, grant me the right to fight both of my brothers at the same time." Witnessing this scene, Tai Ao's jaw dropped, not expecting him to have this ability. The butler Luo De Weier was no less worried, glancing at Mr. Tai Ao. Even Talia, who had spoken harsh words the day before, was now very panicked, advising against it. "What the hell are you planning to do now?" However, Mr. Tai Ao was the complete opposite. He smiled with great satisfaction, thinking, "That temperament has changed, hasn't it? It seems my son still has secrets he's keeping. Observing him a little longer won't hurt." Thinking he also approved Tianhan's request, "I will allow this two-on-one match." The wife beside him immediately stood up worriedly and called out loudly, "Honey!" But Tai Ao ignored everything and let the duel proceed. Begin. Alun was gritting his teeth as he went to pick up the sword he had just dropped. The two were directly enraged. How dare this bastard humiliate us like this in front of father? Meanwhile, Tianhan still appeared confident, smiling with satisfaction as he swung his sword into a ready stance. The twin brothers also got into their stances. "Get ready!" Immediately the two rushed forward to attack one person with the speed of a gust of wind. Sword strikes flashed by, one after another. Tianhan nimbly blocked every attack from the twin brothers. Alun, momentarily scared, shouted, "Brother, attack deeper on the left." He smiled and calculated inwardly, "The proficiency has increased. All right, if so, then I can see the path of the blade." The two-on-one battle continued fiercely. Suddenly, Tianhan moved behind and struck Alun hard on the shoulder, making him wince in pain. The twins momentarily froze, their eyes fixed on Tianhan. Ta Lia, standing on the spectator stand, could no longer bear it and called out, "Tianhan." Meanwhile, he was looking at them triumphantly, marveling to himself. How could the disgrace of the family change so much? That's what was clearly written on their faces. Then the two brothers simultaneously turned to look at each other. Suddenly, Tianhan's voice cut in, "Don't let your guard down." He approached amidst their panic. Right in the middle of a duel like this. Before the two could react, Tianhan had swung his sword, creating streaks of wind. Just like that, he seized the opportunity to attack. Tianhan calculated, "There's still something more important and dangerous through this duel. But this feeling of the weight of the sword in my hand," he fought while exclaiming, "is truly worth savoring." Watching until now, everyone in the stands was utterly amazed. Even Mr. Tai Ao, who was just about to leave and end the match, couldn't believe it. Alun below was exhausted. "This is impossible." He lost his balance and immediately fell onto the arena floor. Both brothers had been overwhelmed by Tianhan. Damn it. At the same time, the system also reminded, the genius's timeline has completely expired. Luckily, the twin brothers had fallen. Only Tianhan remained standing. So it's over. Thinking that, Tianhan let out a sigh. On the side, Mrs. Tai Ao saw her two sons being defeated and worriedly called out, "Hansi Alun." Suddenly, Tianhan's voice cut in, "Don't let your guard down." He approached amidst their panic. Right in the middle of a duel like this, before the two could react, Tianhan had swung his sword, creating streaks of wind. Just like that, he seized the opportunity to attack. Tianhan calculated, "There's still something more important and dangerous through this duel. But this feeling of the weight of the sword in my hand," he fought while exclaiming, "is truly worth savoring." Watching until now, everyone in the stands was utterly amazed. Even Mr. Tai Ao, who was just about to leave and end the match, couldn't believe it. Alun below was exhausted. "This is impossible." He lost his balance and immediately fell onto the arena floor. Both brothers had been overwhelmed by Tianhan. Damn it. At the same time, the system also reminded, the genius's timeline has completely expired. Over. Thinking that, Tianhan let out a sigh. On the side, Mrs. Tai Ao saw her two sons being defeated and worriedly called out, "Hansi Alun." Otako. Below, Tianhan was reminding the referee, "Look over here. It's clear who the winner is, right?" He immediately replied, "Of course, sir." Then under the declaration, "The winner is the young master." Hans von Renhaver was stunned, the images of his two older brothers flashing in his mind. Then he gave a forced smile towards Mr. Teo and made a silent decision. "Before finding my allies, getting that ticket is the best thing for me right now." Hans von Renhaver and Teo, father and son, faced each other. The father looked straight at him and said, "I will choose the remaining person to join the academy." Although he didn't say the name directly, Hans von Renhaver understood his father's intention. So you mean you'll choose by having us brothers compete against each other, right? As soon as the words were out, Teo was momentarily surprised and thought to himself, I didn't expect Hans von Renhover to speak up like this. But then he confirmed, that's right, I will choose the sparring day next month. I will decide who gets chosen after witnessing your performance in the training grounds. As for the twin brothers, they continued to mock and jeer at Hans von Renhover brother. If you want to give up, just admit it now. A weakling like you who has never held a sword stands no chance against us. Under Talia's curious gaze, Hans von Renhaver struggled to stammer out two words. That, then he took a leisurely sip of red wine and retorted, isn't that something you should say only after you've won? As if hit a sore spot, Alan became visibly angry. You think you can beat us? Ignoring his shouts, Hans von Renhaver just calmly and silently calculated. This duel will be my chance to get into the academy. I don't need to bother with their ridiculous prejudices. Thinking he looked at the glass of red wine and uttered a single word, ah. Hans von Renhaver's face showed a bright confidence he had never shown before. I will be the only one chosen for the Eledian Academy. Mr. Teo was still sitting there witnessing his actions and words with some surprise. As for the twin brothers, they were now trembling with anger from Hans von Renhaver's provocation. There was one more person here, Talia. She let out a small, amused smile. Well, well. Her eyes were fixed on him in admiration. The youngest son of the Reinhafer family is really confident, isn't he? Seeing this, Hans von Renhaver appeared calm and cold on the outside, but deep down he was terrified, sweat pouring down his face like rain. Under the starry night sky, a helpless thought echoed in Hans von Renhaver's mind. I think I've attracted the attention of someone I shouldn't have. A while later, in a room where the lights were still on, inside a stack of papers with some information was laid out on the table. Mr. Teo and the butler Roswell were discussing something. Mr. Teo received the stack of papers and spoke, based on your report, it's clear his behavior has changed abruptly. The butler Roswell respectfully acknowledged, yes, sir. Teo was momentarily confused. I can't believe he's changed when I haven't seen it with my own eyes. How did the kid change his personality like that? But he seemed to be overthinking when the image of a demon god of death came to mind. It's not like he's been possessed by a demon, is it? Anyway, he felt quite curious. Then Teo ended the conversation for the day. All right, Roswell. In a flash, it was the next day with light just beginning to peek through. In the garden, a voice reminded, keep focusing Hans von Renhaver. In the thousands of square meter yard, there was a constant buzz of gossip. Look at him. It turned out Hans von Renhaver was the cause of everyone's surprise. He was running so hard he was drenched in sweat. The young master is training again. The maids, seemingly seeing Hans von Renhaver so determined for the first time, kept whispering among themselves, good heavens, he really? I heard there's a competition next month. A competition, but why? Then they looked at Hans von Renhaver, who was already out of breath just from running around the yard. He's just running around like that. However, they didn't know that Hans von Renhaver had heard everything they said. Touch me. Yet inside, he was extremely flustered and understood. I admit it because I've been sucked into the game for the past 2 years. My progress is too hard for others to understand. Then Hans von Renhaver's face was also covered in sweat like a flood. Initially, she was the character who would kill me. Suddenly, Talia shyly whispered, Her face was like a puppy who had just made a mistake. I'm sorry. Then Talia began to voice her thoughts. I didn't think you would be so serious about the sword matter. I heard you were frail from birth. That's why you only train your stamina. I'm sorry for misunderstanding you. Her eyes avoided his, slightly embarrassed. Pretending to be a loser probably wasn't your intention, was it? Emma said that people can make mistakes like that. Even so, Hans von Renhaver couldn't help but feel flustered inside. How should I respond? She's as sincere as I've seen in the game, even when I know she has the traits of a knight. She's the daughter of a famous and prestigious ducal family. It must be hard for her to admit to others that she was wrong. Thinking, he also replied to her, if that's what you think of me, then please don't tell anyone about me bleeding. Hearing his reply, Talia immediately agreed, resolutely. Of course, I won't say anything. Then Hans von Renhover shyly glanced at Talia. I guess I don't have to worry about others finding out about this anymore. Talia still stood there, watching his receding back. Night fell darkness enveloping the castle. Inside, Teo was smiling in satisfaction. It seems my judgment was correct. Then he looked towards the butler Roswell. What do you think of Hans von Renhaver's talent? Roswell answered honestly, at first, I couldn't understand why the young master let himself be beaten like that. But compared to other children his age and even other young masters, I think the young master is the best. Hearing the satisfying answer, Teo was very pleased. I agree with you, and I don't know why, but I think he's still hiding his talent from us. Then Teo gave another order to Roswell. Observe all his actions and do nothing but observe no matter what he's doing. The butler immediately obeyed. Yes, sir. Mr. Teo started putting on his gloves and pondered. I wonder if the boy, Teo looked at his palm and continued to wonder, has enough talent to inherit the power of the supreme dark sword. Thinking, he clenched his fist and said resolutely, I don't have much time left. A sentence he uttered surprised the butler. Roswell, what you're doing is important. Hearing this, Roswell bowed his head respectfully. I will do my best. Night still covered the sky. Another room was lit. The system panel just announced, you have completed the training mission. You have won the first battle. Inside, Hans von Renhover was speechless looking at the information. This is a world that has become reality, but the game system still exists here. The stat window is still displayed. Suddenly, another thing appeared. You will receive a reward. You will receive 1 free stat point. X3. Seeing it, Hans von Renhover was immediately excited. I hit the jackpot. But then he raised an eyebrow in confusion. It took me a whole month to increase my stamina by 2 points. You should have given this to me sooner. But the stat I need to add to... Thinking that Hans von Renhover immediately did something. Stat window. His hand pressed on the system panel. Not stamina, but luck. Luck 10, seeing that he smiled in satisfaction. The reason is because it's not a stat that can be increased through hard training, and also because luck is the most valuable stat in Inner Lunatic. Hans von Renhaver's gaze shifted to the side again. Let's see its value. Hans von Renhaver's gaze shifted to the side again. Let's see its value. You have received a random gotcha ticket. You have received a one-time skill confirmation ticket. Seeing that, Hans von Renhaver sighed in relief. The benefit system is still here. That's good. Then he gave the order, let's gotcha right now. As soon as he finished speaking, a giant gotcha machine with a rather gloomy color scheme appeared in front of Hans von Renhover. Hans von Renhover could only feel helpless. Witnessing this thing in person is so spooky. But then he also reached out and turned the knob. While doing so, Hans von Renhaver talked to himself. Let's see. When the luck stat is maxed out, I think the probability of intermediate and higher grades appearing is 95%. I guess. The spooky machine began to shake violently. Beginner and lower are white. Intermediate is silver. Advanced will be gold. The highest grade will be rainbow. Hans von Renhaver watched while nervously praying, please give me gold or higher. At this moment, the machine spat out something. A strong golden light emanated. Hans von Renhaver still waited calmly. He was very excited that what he got was advanced gold. It's appeared. Opening it, the system also displayed a notification. Determining grade. Congratulations, you have received an advanced trait. Hans von Renhaver was both happy and a bit stunned. Unbelievable. Then the system displayed the skill information, name Supreme Tower, grade advanced, incompatible traits. Effect reduces the combined stats of others by 20% when your total stats are lower than theirs. After reading, Hans von Renhaver was excited like a child seeing candy. This is an advanced item, unbelievable, and it even came with a debuff skill. Then he glanced to the side again. But I still have another reward, right? The question was posed to him. Do you want to use the one-time skill confirmation ticket? Faced with that question, Hans von Renhaver kept thinking, which skill I get has already been decided. One of the hidden pieces only obtainable through a member of the Renhaver family. To be able to get this, I still have that skill. Teo will gather all the brothers in the manor soon. This will be the time for me to use it. Hans von Renhaver wondered, thinking about it, isn't it almost time for him to return to the Rheinhafer manor? Hans von Renhaver wondered, thinking about it, isn't it almost time for him to return to the Rheinhafer manor? Oart, the second son of the Rheinhafer family. To train to become a knight, he must be in the middle of some tour. Hans von Renhaver scratched his head. I have to find the hidden piece and deal with Brian. There's no time to rest at all. The only lucky thing is, he sighed to himself, I probably don't have to worry about Talia anymore, do I? Thinking of Talia's image, she's not the type of person who would break a promise. There's no reason for her to approach me anymore. In a flash, it was the next day with light peeking into the hall. Hans von Renhaver walked out with 1,000 thoughts. That's what I was thinking last night. In front of him was Talia. She stood seriously looking straight into Hans von Renhaver's eyes. He bowed his head and questioned, Didn't we agree on everything yesterday? What more do you want from me? Talia suddenly became timid and stammered. Tell me. He didn't understand her and let out a, huh. Talia stood seriously before him, patting her chest as she made a request. Tell me, how could you become so strong so quickly? Faced with that question, Hans von Renhaver could only remain silent, unable to utter a word. Then he closed his eyes, walked past her, and gave a perfunctory reply, secretly watch me train for a month. Hearing that, Talia was surprised and asked back secretly. Unwilling to accept not getting a proper answer, she chased after him. Wait, at least spar? No. At least you could tell me how to train, right? At this moment, Hans von Renhaver was lost in his own thoughts. From what I remember, Talia is a character who always wants to gain recognition from her older sister. Thinking, he turned and spoke clearly to her. You know, before asking me things like that, you should consider your own training methods. Hans von Renhaver's face was serious. You should think about what talent you possess first. After hearing this, Talia's face went blank. She felt as if she had just had a revelation. Meanwhile, Hans von Renhaver was frustratedly thinking, and I've never comforted anyone before. What should I say now, phew? Then he said one last thing to her. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. After that, Hans von Renhaver turned and walked away as if being chased by a ghost. She frowned sadly, as if about to cry. He's just leaving like that. The blue sky shone down on the castle. Having just escaped, Hans von Renhaver couldn't help but sigh. She's not planning on chasing me again, is she? Before him, the maid's knights, the butler Roswell, and Mr. Tio were waiting. Hans von Renhaver was still lost in his thoughts. No need for her to see me get the hidden piece when she could kill me. Mr. Teo watched him with a serious expression. Bright sunlight shone down on this place. Could this be the Rheinhafer family's manor? This place had strong horses grazing. Hans von Renhaver thought, famous for creating the best war horses on the continent, huh? The butler Roswell respectfully addressed Mr. Teo. Greetings, clan head. You summoned me, sir. Teo replied, You've all arrived. Looking at his 3 sons before him, Teo solemnly declared, I'm sure you all know the reason I've summoned you here. From now on, you will choose the war horse that will be with you for life. Hearing this, Hans von Renhaver smirked to himself. I knew it. It's time. Horses. Horses are considered the most sacred animals both on the continent in general and in the Rheinhafer family in particular. If you decide to become a mage or a knight, you will choose a horse when you're young, so you can have a companion for your life's journey. Elden Academy teaches horsemanship, and in the later part of the game, there are also many large-scale battles. You'll have to raise a foal from scratch if your horse happens to die. On top of that, teleportation magic is extremely expensive. Thinking of that, he frowned in annoyance. What a strangely realistic disadvantage. Horses are a very important mode of transport. Then Hans von Renhaver also regained his confidence. That's why I have to choose the best warhorse for myself. As he was pondering, Teo suddenly interrupted. Well then, the winner of the last duel, Hans von Renhaver, you may choose first. Seeing Hans von Renhaver receive special treatment, the twin brothers Alan and Haas were not very happy to hear Teo say, I will only give you one chance. As for Hans von Rinhaver, he just smiled and observed the horses taking a step inside. Mr. Teo smiled gently, a sight never seen before, and silently speculated, "I wonder which horse my youngest son will choose." Hans von Rinhaver had stepped inside. In front of him was a ranch owner bowing respectfully. But these horses were also curious and looked at him. Seeing them, Hans von Rinhaver sighed to himself. "They're all quite lovely, aren't they, good horses? But the one I'm looking for?" As soon as the thought finished, his attention was drawn to a particular one. Seeing them, Hans von Rinhaver sighed to himself. "They're all quite lovely, aren't they, good horses? But the one I'm looking for?" As soon as the thought finished, his attention was drawn to a particular one. It was the horse with a different shape and color from the rest. "There it is." Hans von Rinhaver took a step closer to the gray-skinned horse that looked like it was about to die. He smiled towards Teo and declared, "I will choose this one." For a moment, both twin brothers were surprised. Mr. Teo, who was just smiling now, didn't look so good either. Then he spread his hands and said to him, "I'll give you another chance." Hans von Rinhaver didn't understand, just stood there dazed, calculating another chance. He looked at the horse he chose, which was trembling, showing how terrible they thought his choice was. But his gaze was still very resolute. "However, the pet's growth rate will increase by 1.5 times. Being a spirit, it can be summoned and released depending on the player's mana." Seeing that, Hans von Rinhaver couldn't help but smirk. On top of that, it's an obsidian-type attribute. A very rare attribute in nature, and its name is based on a native gemstone. This is a rare horse. Then he shyly glanced at the displeased Teo. If the clan head knew about this, he would have chosen this one long ago. Then, Hans von Rinhaver's triumphant expression returned. "Even so, indeed, people don't look too kindly on it because of its bad traits." The information panel continued, "Negative, determined death. Effect determined death is in effect. Remaining time 2 days 16 hours 12 minutes. And from a certain perspective," Hans von Rinhaver forced a helpless laugh, "it's an even more troublesome trait than the terminal illness trait." After a moment he spoke resolutely, "I won't change my mind. I'll choose this horse." Hans von Rinhaver turned back, silently lost in thought again. "But with my knowledge I can save it." But the horse just frowned and turned. It's Mr. Teo, seeing his resolute decision, still couldn't understand why would he make a choice like that away. Does he see himself in that horse in the end? The boy is just a sensitive and weak child. What a disappointment. Thinking, he gave his final piece of advice. "I hope you won't regret your choice." Hans von Rinhaver didn't expect it to turn out this way. "Was my choice that disappointing?" A voice from outside called in again. "Young master, we will be observing. Please choose a horse." It was the butler Roswell. He personally approached him. "Young master, please name your horse, sir." Seeing this, Hans von Rinhaver just replied, "Roswell is it?" Then he pondered, "All right, a name." A moment later, Hans von Rinhaver officially named it Kas. "I'll choose the name Kas." He thought to himself the name he had used to beat the game, Inner Lunatic. "It's a very meaningful name to me." Hans von Rinhaver didn't expect it to turn out this way. "Was my choice that disappointing?" A voice from outside called in again. "Young master, we will be observing. Please choose a horse." It was the butler Roswell. He personally approached him. "Young master, please name your horse, sir." Seeing this, Hans von Rinhaver just replied, "Roswell is it?" Then he pondered, "All right, a name." A moment later, Hans von Rinhaver officially named it Kas. "I'll choose the name Kas." He thought to himself the name he had used to beat the game, Inner Lunatic. "It's a very meaningful name to me." The sky was turning to dusk as the sun began to set. The room was lit. Inside, the destined horse Hans von Rinhaver had chosen was lying on a soft bed, even covered with a blanket like a CEO. At this moment, Hans von Rinhaver was still frustratedly thinking, "First, I can't let others know what I'm doing, so I brought it into my room. Now then." Hans von Rinhaver suddenly fell silent, looking at it intently. The horse also looked back at him with its big, round, black eyes. He smiled in satisfaction. "Just like I'm struggling with my own life, I guess you are too struggling to prolong your own life even if just for a little while. Then Cons von Renhaver looked in one direction and called out, Rona, I know you're there. If you don't answer me right now. Immediately Rona was caught and slipped falling to the floor. I'm here, I'm here. She dazedly scratched her head. How did you know I was there? Sir Cons von Renhaver just crossed his arms and replied, Caught red-handed. Why do you always fall? Then he pointed at the gray horse lying there. Take care of it for me. Rona, seeing this, couldn't help but exclaim, A horse on the bed. She pouted resentfully. Am I the one who has to clean up this mess? Even so, Cons von Renhofer just smiled gently. It's a sick horse, so please, do your best. The horse on the bed was now drenched in sweat. Then Rona also agreed with a gloomy expression. All right, I'll watch over it. Cons von Renhover forced a laugh and silently speculated, Anyway, this is a bit troublesome. What's about to happen next will be quite shocking. I wonder if Rona can handle it. As for now, Rona was standing before it looking unwell. She kept asking as if the horse could understand human language. Is your name Cass? Are you hungry? In a flash, it was 3 days later. In the middle of a beautiful day, a loud scream suddenly rang out. It was from Rona. She was hugging the gray horse, crying her heart out. Young Master Cass is dead. However, Cons von Renhaver didn't seem too sad. He thought to himself, she's crying as if it's really dead, remembering the image of Rona taking care of the gray horse day and night. As always, Rona is always sincere in her care. I feel a bit of pity. He calmly looked at Rona and sighed to himself. I knew this would happen from the beginning. Cass can't be saved anymore. Thinking, Cons von Renhaver approached to reassure Rona. That's enough crying. This is really annoying. I need to focus. Get up. However, Rona was still very distraught. But young Master Cass, he replied very calmly, not letting her finish. Don't worry. Cass will return and stand right beside me. These words made Rona momentarily bewildered. What, sir, young master? Is your head okay? But Cons von Renhaver could only force a helpless laugh. Step back. Then from his pocket, Cons von Renhaver took out a scroll. Seeing it, Rona shyly asked him, That scroll is… Without much words, Cons von Renhaver opened the scroll and slammed it on the table. Immediately a source of magic appeared. Fierce red flames erupted. If I channel my mana into this scroll, Rona on the side no longer had a sad expression. Instead, she was stunned by the sight. At this moment, Cons von Renhaver grinned brightly and let out a sigh. Rona reacted worriedly, advising, Young master, did you just use mana? This is illegal. Not caring about her words, Cons von Renhaver was still lost in his own thoughts. My mana control. Again. He resolutely did it again, not forgetting to warn Rona. If you're noisy, I'll kill Cass again. If it dies, it's your fault. Only then did Rona cover her mouth with both hands and watch. Quiet now, Cons von Renhaver thought to himself. I need to focus. In this empire, people under 15 are not allowed to use mana, except for members of the royal family. Thanks to that law, the children of the royal family can possess magic skills. That's many times better than the students who only learn about mana much later. His eyes showed determination. All I can do, Cons von Renhaver's hands touched the magic circle, is to pour my mana in like a waterfall. Thanks to that law, the children of the royal family can possess magic skills. That's many times better than the students who only learn about mana much later. Nuoke's 2 hands touched the magic circle, pouring his mana into it like a waterfall. The purple flame gradually intensified. I can feel a faint energy under my fingertips. His eyes suddenly lit up. This is mana. Noki smiled in satisfaction. Ha ha ha, how interesting. Use one-time skill confirmation ticket. Noki opened his hand holding the purple flame. I must have been mistaken. The magic I'm about to use now. Then the system interface appeared. You have received the one-time skill Necronomicon's Letter of Murder. It is dark magic. An image of a hand with no skin, just a skeleton, appeared grasping a book. Then the target was designated. K can become an undead. Nuoke faced the gray horse as the system's question appeared. Do you want to use magic? The undead in Inner Lunatic have 2 main characteristics. First, they are creatures brought back from death through dark magic and dark mana. Second, just because they are brought back from the dead doesn't mean they have no ego. Rather, they are reborn into a more powerful existence. Second, just because they are brought back from the dead doesn't mean they have no ego. Rather, they are reborn into a more powerful existence. The problem is there is only one family that can turn corpses into undead, a notorious dark family, the Mikabai family. The Lenhuofu are also known as a dark family. But unlike the knights of the Lenhuofu clan, the Mikabai are a family of dark mages who can control the undead. So, does that mean players with no connection to the Mikabai family can't use their skills? That's not true. He smiled sinisterly. The one-time skill option, what I chose from it was Necronomicon, the name of the letter of murder. As he thought that, a pair of pitch-black hands suddenly emerged from the magic circle, leaving Nuoke stunned in surprise. More and more strange black substances enveloped Ka and Nuoke. They surrounded Ka in countless numbers as if wanting to devour him. At this moment, Noki suddenly coughed up blood from his mouth. Seeing this, Luona, who was at the side, panicked and shouted, "Young master!" Although he was about to collapse, he still reassured Luona, "Shh, just a little longer." As soon as he finished speaking, Nuoke's face suddenly became blank. Once again, Nuoke had exceeded his limit and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He powerlessly slammed his hand on the magic circle. "My mana is depleted, damn it." But then his eyes suddenly lit up as if grasping a ray of hope. It turned out the mana had gradually accumulated inside Ka. It reared up and opened its mouth wide. Then the system also displayed a notification, "Skill used successfully." Nuoke was astonished as he witnessed the scene. Under the stream of purple mana, Ka, the player's pet, was reborn as an undead. Its previously black eyes were gone, replaced by a blinding white color. Seeing this, Nuke finally reacted with a joyful exclamation, "It worked!" Dorts. As for Luona, she was so worried she was about to cry, "Young master!" But luckily, Noke was unharmed. He supported himself with his hands and slowly stood up. Ah! As soon as he stood up, Noke wiped the blood from his mouth with his hand. "Ka!" She cried as if she had never cried before. They were tears of happiness. Then Luona chattered non-stop at Noke's helpless face. "Young master, I thought something terrible had happened, didn't I? How could you use mana so recklessly? And I thought Ka was in trouble too." But Ka just scowled and turned its head away. Nuake gently patted Ka's head and declared, "From now on I will be your master." As he was thinking about something, suddenly something made both Noke and Ka look on in surprise. It turned out to be Luona, who was overjoyed and ran to hug them both. Nuoke, being hugged to the point of suffocation, spoke up, "Luona, what do you think you're doing?" She cried as if she had never cried before. They were tears of happiness. Then Luona chattered non-stop at Nuoke's helpless face. "Young master, I thought something terrible had happened, didn't I? How could you use mana so recklessly? And I thought Ka was in trouble too." But Ka just scowled and turned its head away. Seeing this, Luona was indignant. "Ka, do you have any idea how much I worried about you? Give me back my carrots, hee." Watching the person and the beast playing Nuke also felt much more relaxed. A few days later, in the dark of night, Nuke was walking step by step up the stairs. The horse in the stable neighed a few times. He continued to walk in his black cloak. It's unknown what he planned to do. In one hand, Nuke carried a sparkling object. In the other was a piece of a map. Holding the two items and observing them, Nuoke calculated to himself, "The path hasn't changed much from when it was a game." He folded the paper and sighed in relief. What a relief! Nuke's eyes looked forward with determination. The second puzzle piece of the Lenhuofu family. It's an item I must obtain a key that can nullify bad stats, even incurable diseases. As he thought that, a loud noise from the forest suddenly caught his attention. But when Nuoke gripped the sword at his side ready to attack, there was nothing there. His face showed unease. Was I being too paranoid? But in the middle of the forest hung a sign. As for Noke, his face darkened. This is no longer a game but reality. But the sign he saw earlier had a warning written on it, "Forest of Lost Children. Children are not allowed inside because if they dare to step in,